Welcome to the Parenting High Needs Children YouTube channel. I'm Brandy and I'm your host, and I'm super glad you're here today. Today we'll be discussing acceptance challenges in high needs children. And as a part of this, it's more acceptance on the parents' part of high needs children than anyone else. And acceptance can be a hard thing when it comes to high needs children as a whole. These children have a hard time being accepted in a lot of ways by a large number of people at times. And there are certain cases where the parents have a hard time with acceptance. And it's not always intentional and it's not always done out of malice, and often rarely out of malice, rarely with intention. But there are times where parents do have acceptance issues when their child has high needs. And a child who has a unique set of needs on their own comes with their own challenges, and this can be difficult for parents to accept. And it can be really hard when this is something that wasn't anticipated, which is often the case. Many high needs children weren't anticipated before they arrived. It's often a shock to the parents when their children are diagnosed with high needs, and accepting that can be hard. A lot of times these challenges show up with no warning, no foresight, and it also comes with a large number of concerns and worries and additional needs that weren't anticipated. And this can leave parents wondering, why me? Or feeling like they're a bad parent because they're wondering, why me? And even, what did they do to cause this? And did they do something that led to this? And even the why me's lead to parent guilt, mom guilt. And that causes a lot of trust issues. It causes a lot of internal upset within the parent. It doesn't mean that you're a bad parent, that you have negative feelings towards your child necessarily. What this means is you had other expectations. You had other visions of life. You had a dream of what your life was going to look like with children or with a child. And now things are very different. And this is not what you anticipated. And it can be very challenging to accept these circumstances that look very different. There is a period where parents have to let go of those former visions and accept that things look different. And a lot of times when parents don't go through that phase where they've accepted the change and accepted the difference, they get stuck with these feelings. They have a difficult time feeling acceptance for their child. This is a completely natural feeling. This is totally normal, in one of the few circumstances that will actually use the word normal. It's very common among parents in general, really, but parents of high needs, because this isn't something we expect. We did not anticipate this. This leaves us on a new path that can often look like it's uncharted and leave us navigating a new route in life that we did not expect. And it's often unsettling. But what's important to know is that we are not alone. We are by far not the only parent on this route, on this path, and we don't have to travel it solo. One of the first steps in the process of navigating through this feeling is becoming an accepting parent. In order to do that, we need to accept the differences and the uniqueness that our child has. That can be challenging in itself. Becoming an accepting parent is understanding that our child does have differences, they are unique, and that this unanticipated change in our plan may be hard. It did catch us off guard, and even if we were prepared for it, it's often more stressful than we anticipated, and it can be very different than what we expected. It's not a lack of love or support for our child, it's just more than we expected, different than we expected, and it can really change the way we look at parenting. We do have to come to terms with the fact that our child does have challenges or that they are different and that they are unique in their own way. And this is not bad. This gives us an opportunity to navigate this path with resilience and look for the positives and the grace that we can instill in our lives and in our path as well. We have the opportunity to grow and enlighten in this journey, and it does not have to be negative by any stretch. Ultimately, this is the point where we have to recognize that this journey may not look like what we envisioned. And that does not mean we have to sacrifice or devalue our wishes or our dreams or the life that we want to create. We get to create a whole new vision. We get to maybe even start from scratch and find a whole new outlook. As we do that, there may be some unexpected twists and turns, but we also get to look for excitement and fun and the beauty and growth that will come for both our children and us, because this is both personal development and growth for you and your child. One of the reasons that this is so challenging for parents to navigate is that accepting a child with high needs can be a form of grief. And at times, parents don't lean into that grief period. They may just push down those feelings, they may brush them off, and other times they may not realize that's something that's necessary for their journey. Parents are not grieving the child that they have or their high needs or the challenges even that come with this child. What they're grieving is the things that they had wished for, the dreams that they thought they'd have, and all of the things that they had initially expected when they decided to have a child or found out they were having a child or any of those kinds of situations. And again, this does not make them a bad parent or a bad person. We all just have a vision or an expectation. It's a story we've created that we are holding on to. And when we have a child with high needs, we have to accept that that vision is not going to take place. And rather than ignoring that grief, we need to grieve it as we would any other loss. And a lot of times that's not taking place. So people need to move through that process just like they would any other grief. Acknowledging that necessary grief and that grief process is an emotional need. It's emotionally a sign of honesty and courage, and it is not a sign of weakness. We all need to grieve and release the things that hold us back, and this is one of those times. It's also important that the grieving process takes place naturally. And this can be a little bit challenging when the grief has been repressed, or held back, or pressed down. It is natural and a necessary part of the process and coming to terms with our current reality. We can't live in our current lifestyle or situation when we've held on to the visions that aren't going to take place. We need to process those feelings and those emotions and everything that comes with that grief with letting go of what we hoped for and what we thought was coming and embrace the things that we have received. And again, this doesn't make us a bad parent or a bad person. This is actually showing the amount of love and strength that we do have for our child and acknowledging the power that we have within to help support our child. By doing that, we can grow and we can heal and we create space for both ourselves and our child and our family. There are times where we can find solace in reaching out to family members or loved ones for support with grief This may be one of the times where it can be hard to find someone who understands what you're grieving. Family members may not understand your idea of the loss that you have, and they may not understand how you feel. That can be challenging also. This is one of the times where it's very important to find someone you can connect with and who can support you through your grief that does understand what you're going through. If you have to seek outside support or outside resources to support you through your grief, that's very important and it can be very beneficial. It's necessary to have someone in your corner, whether they understand or not. You may have family members who will support you and encourage you regardless of the topic or the situation, and that's fantastic. And in other cases, there are family members who are not like that. So, you just need to do what's best for you and find someone who can support you, whether that's in family or not. You need to just do whatever you need to do to help get that support for yourself. This is also a part of your self-care, self-nurture journey along the high needs child path. Self-nurture is really essential to taking care of yourself and being able to take care of your high needs child. You have to be at your best so that you can support your child. And letting go of this grief and being able to open up emotionally will allow you to be able to process your feelings better and allow your child to feel more connected to you. Holding on to this grief and these feelings of loss and the would be expectations of what your life would have looked like does create a block. By holding on to those things, when this block is created, you're actually setting up barriers between you and your child. Your child is able to sense that something isn't right. They are able to feel your feelings and they are able to understand that something is misaligned. And that rings true for typical and atypical children. Our children are very perceptive and they understand whether or not we are feeling stressed and overwhelmed and grieving, or whether we are happy and at ease and basically everything. So when we feel this grief and this loss, and it becomes a block for us, we are actually blocking our children from receiving the support and emotional encouragement that they need as well. When this block is created, we aren't able to lean into their full unique needs and embrace their uniqueness. And that creates another problem because we aren't able to fully support them in the way that they need. And we aren't able to really connect with them on the level that they need as well. And research has shown that when parents don't connect with the children, it has a direct connection to their child development and can impact their temperament in the long term. This is not just something that will go away. And as I said, they perceive your emotions and your behaviors as a reflection upon them, that directly impacts their growth and development. Basically, when we have created this block based on grief and loss and things that didn't go quite the way we anticipated, we aren't accepting our child for who they are. And we're not giving them the understanding that they need, and we're not giving them the acceptance that they need. Again, this is not to say that we do not love them or we are not encouraging them, but maybe there are times where they're not being encouraged the way that they need to be. And there are varying levels to which this can affect parenting and child raising and things across the board. It really varies based on how significant this impacts the parent. If this is something quite significant in your life, then you may very well not treat your child as if they matter at all. And that's very significant to the child. And other parents may be able to hide it quite well and assume that their children don't realize that you had different anticipations for them, but really, ultimately, it will come out in the wash, right? When parents are able to provide acceptance and understanding for their children, it creates confidence in the child, it creates increased confidence in the parent, and this leads to a healthy emotional and a psychological development in the child, which is what our goal is ultimately in every child. But this strengthens in high needs children and increased abilities to process the emotions. This creates more confident children, and they have healthier emotional and psychological development. And this makes them stronger in varying situations throughout childhood and the teen years and even into adulthood. But at the same rate, the opposite could be true. A parent who struggles to accept their child for who they are and for their differences can inadvertently impact their child's self-esteem and their overall well-being. And negative reactions from the parent can lead to feelings of inadequacy, rejection, and social and emotional development of the child is low. And these are things that don't help support the child and things that we don't want as these children are growing. Ultimately, by letting go of these issues, we create acceptance in ourselves, and therefore we can create an environment that is nurturing for the child, and they are able to develop in the best ability that they have, whether or not their development is different than that of other children. And it's a path of personal growth for parents as well as developmental and nurturing growth for the children. If children receive negative reactions regularly, this can create negative effects, and that directly impacts their personal and social development, again, throughout childhood, the teen years, and into adulthood. And these are not things that just simply fade away. They create a long-term impact. Children who feel acceptance from their parents develop healthy emotional foundations and a positive self-esteem. They feel valued and understood. They are secure in their relationships. They feel confident. They become resilient. They can navigate the more complex situations that they face through growth and in this world than other children who are faced with more negative responses. Consistent acceptance has been shown to lead to higher levels of emotional intelligence, healthier relationship dynamics overall with family, parenting, friendships, and in the long run, and a greater well-being in total. This stands true again for typical and atypical children. This is not necessarily one or the other, and it can be more impactful for atypical children, but this is something that impacts children in general. Children who receive constant criticism, disapproval, lack of emotional support have a direct impact against their self-esteem. And we know this to be true. This is not necessarily new information, but they develop feelings of unworthiness and inadequacy. And this can develop at a very young age. This is not something that develops in teen years or later in life, or even when children are later in childhood. This can develop in children who are 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it's not something that starts late. This can show up looking like behavioral problems, social withdrawal, difficulty connecting or forming relationships, particularly with adults, but as well as other children and people around them. They have trust issues, they have emotional regulation issues, some struggle with intimacy. And in this respect, that's a relationship connection of, love with their family dynamic, not necessarily in an adult relationship type manner. So, this is why it's really important for us to view our children's differences as their superpowers, their unique abilities, rather than looking at them as something negative. Our children can really tell when we feel like their differences aren't compatible with those around them, and it really can cause struggle for them. It's not their fault that they're different. So it's not for us to hold it against them and foster these feelings of expectation that they had no control over. We are letting guilt fester and create these feelings of being a bad parent or doing something wrong that we also really most likely didn't have control over. We are our child's best advocate, and it really is up to us to let go of those negative things so that we can really let our love shine so that we can best support them and they can truly feel the best from us. We have the opportunity to embrace imperfection, and that's really the key here because there is no such thing as normal and there's no such thing as perfect. And our children with unique abilities have this amazing ability to find strength and love and so many amazing things that we often overlook. And we really just need to embrace that. We need to accept that they can see amazing things and provide them support and nurture along the way. We're bound to make mistakes on this path, and that's okay. No one's ever going to do it perfect, and that's fine. We just need to remember we are not bad parents. We can pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and keep going. So, a few ways to show acceptance to our children is responding positively to them. So, when they speak to you, react positively to the things that they're doing appropriately, of course. Show interest in the things that they're interested in. And yes, there are going to be a million things with these atypical children that they go through and they love and they obsess with. And that's fantastic. And it's just important for us to remember that while they are interested in these things, we need to tell them that we love their interest. We don't necessarily have to love the thing that they love, like Baby Shark, y'all. But we love that they love that thing so much. That's the important part. They are dedicating so much time and energy to that particular thing, and that's what we love. We love seeing them commit, we love seeing them take part, and we love their interest. That's the important part. We want to be open with them to the ability that parents should be. Let them be open. Let them share their thoughts and their feelings and not put them down. Encourage them to tell you everything they need to tell you and make them feel welcome. Make them feel safe and make them feel wanted. Be kind to them. Some children have such a hard time with kindness because of bullying. Bullying is starting so young. Preschoolers are bullying. And as hard as it is to say, parents are bullying their kids. So it's really important that we don't do that and we make sure the things that we say are respectful and we teach them to be respectful, and that the things that we're putting out to them are kind. Just let them know that they can confide in you, because the younger they learn that they can confide in you, the better that will stick with them. They will understand that sooner and it will continue with them. And even if they get to that phase as a teenager where they're not really sure, they'll still know deep down that they can come to you no matter what. And then work on yourself. There's so many things you can do to overcome your own issues with acceptance, because this is going to be accepting yourself and the things that you let go of. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be bad. You just have to understand what you've let go of, and that's okay. And you have to work through the hard parts. You might have to find what works best for you. Journaling, practicing mindfulness, whether that's exercises or stress management, communicating effectively. Make sure you're communicating with your child effectively, active listening, being open and honest with your child. Like I said before, seek professional help if you need it. Counselors or therapists, or even your doctor, can help support you through this. This, again, is not necessarily an easy task. It can be very stressful. It can lead to things like depression and anxiety and worsening symptoms. This is something that should definitely be taken seriously, and support is very, very important. This is going to be one of those times where setting boundaries can also be important, because you need to prioritize your self-care and self-nurturing. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself and preventing burnout. Your well-being is specifically important, and we can't care for our children when we're not caring for ourselves properly. And we need to find and do the things that we enjoy. We need to really lean into those things and see that the life that we're in currently and the path that we're traveling really is a beautiful thing. And even though we are letting go of something that never happened, what we have in front of us really is great. And it really will be a wonderful thing once we embrace it. Remember to celebrate the things that you've done and all of the steps that you've got through. We're really working on hard things here, and navigating the path of high needs children is challenging enough in itself. But when we throw in these kinds of factors and overcoming issues that maybe we didn't even know we had, it can get pretty rocky. But a little step forward, followed by another step forward and another step forward, is a remarkable improvement. And every one of those steps that you make deserves recognition. It's not easy to do this, and it's not easy to be on this path. And we really just need to acknowledge we are doing the thing the best we can with what we have, and we're rocking it. So just remember, your unique child is here for you. And while we did not anticipate that, it's a great thing. And they are here and going to teach us so much. We are going to foster so much love and connection and support for them. It's going to be an amazing journey. And we can take the steps to let go of the guilt and the grief of the life that we thought we'd have, and embrace and love the life that we do have. And we can lean into the acceptance of our child and really let go of what's holding us back. And when we do that, we are going to provide so much love and encouragement to our little high needs superheroes that we won't even know what to do. It's going to be so amazing to see them grow and shine and become awesome humans. It's going to be amazing. I am so glad you joined me today for this touchy subject, and I'm excited that you are here with me. Thanks for catching me here on YouTube. You can also catch my Parenting High Needs podcast anywhere you like to listen. And you are welcome to come join my free Facebook group for parents of high needs children at Navigating High Needs Children Support Group. I hope you enjoyed what we learned today. I know it's a rocky subject, but it is really very important, and everything is going to be awesome. Have a great day.